All right, I'm making a series of videos right now on how to graph a quadratic function given the equation in factored form, in standard form, or in vertex form. Okay, so for this problem, it's in factored form. And so I'm going to do the same thing in all the problems. I'm going to find the y-intercept, I'm going to find the x-intercept, I'm going to find the axis or line of symmetry, then use that to find the vertex. And then I'm going to use the line of symmetry in the y-intercept to find a fifth point, plot and sketch the graph. So those are the steps I'm going to go through on every single problem. So the first thing is to find the y-intercept. In standard form, it's really easy, right? It's just the constant at the end. But it's a little bit harder here. I could expand this out, but the easier way to do it is to remember that for the y-intercept, the x-coordinate is always 0. So I'm just going to rewrite this, and I'm going to put zeros in where the x's were. All right, so that's going to give me -5 from the first set of parentheses and 4 from the second, which is -20. So 0, -20 is my y-intercept. Now I could just do that for a whole bunch of other points to get a picture of the graph, right? I could put in 1 where the zeros are. I could put in 2 where the zeros are, and so on, but I'm just going to have to keep putting them in and hope I get a good idea of the shape of the graph. What I'm doing now I know is going to give me a good picture of the shape of the graph. That's what makes it powerful. Okay, so that's step 1, is find the y-intercept. Step 2, here is my y-intercept. Step 2 is going to be to find the x-intercepts. So luckily for us, in factor form, it's really easy to find the y-intercepts. I mean the x-intercepts. So the first thing is, remember when we were finding the y-intercepts, we made x equals 0. When we were finding the x-intercepts, we make y equals 0. 2x minus 5 and x plus 4. So again, all I did was take the y-intercept, or the y value in my equation, and make it 0. So now I'm going to use what we call the zero product property. And the zero product property says if you multiply two numbers together, this represents a number and this represents a number. We just don't know which one. If you get 0 for an answer when you multiply them, which we do right here, then one of the numbers must be 0. So I just write down that each one is 0. And I'm not going to go through the process of solving those right now. I'm going to trust that you guys know how to do that. But you can always watch a solving video if you need help. 5/2 is my x-intercept from this one, and -4 is my x-intercept for this one. And remember, that's my x, and my y is 0. So now I have 3 points to graph. So then I'm going to find the line of symmetry, which is also often called the axis of symmetry. And that's the point where I could fold my parabola in half and have the pieces line up, which means it's going to be halfway in between -4 and 5/2, which is 2.5. So to find the line of symmetry, I'm going to do 2.5 minus 4, or plus -4, divided by 2, which is going to give me -0.75. So my axis of symmetry, or line of symmetry, is x equals -0.75. Great. So now for my vertex, I know that my vertex falls on my line of symmetry. Always, always. My vertex is the only point that doesn't have a mirror image, so it makes sense that we need to be on the mirror line. So I'm going to redo what I did in step 1, but I'm going to, instead of putting in 0, I'm going to put in -0.75. So usually what you know if you've had me in class is that when I do substitution, I usually put whatever, that's wrong. I usually put whatever Here we go. I'm substituting into parentheses. It helps with the signs, and it helps make me, twice. It just helps me do a better job when I'm entering it into my calculator. I don't have to worry about order of operations or signs or anything else. Because again, right, one of the things that I say a lot about myself is that I make sign mistakes. So if I put all this in my calculator, I end up getting negative 21.25. So my vertex is this value for x and this value for y. Okay, so now I have everything I need, yeah? And so I'm just gonna highlight a couple of things. So this negative 0.75 shows up here and here, not a coincidence. I also have this 0 is here and here. And then finally, I have a 0 here and here for my x's. Oh, and then that 0 is right there. Here, I can put this here. My y value is 0 here and here. Okay? So those are intentionally placed there. Just so we're clear. Okay, so now I'm going to graph this. And since I have to go all the way down to negative 21, I'm going to make my graph be kind of like this, right? It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetric. To make sure I have plenty of space. All right, so I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22. Okay. And then out here, I'm going to make the scale a little bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the same says on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, obviously, if you're using graph paper, your scale is going to be more consistent than mine is, but I tried to do the best that I could. Okay, so I'm going to start with my y-intercept, which is 0, negative 20, and that's right here. Next, I'm going to put in my two x-intercepts, which are 2.5 here, and negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Okay, then I'm going to put in my line of symmetry, which is at negative 0.75. And you should always dash that line in to show that it's not really part of your graph. Okay, and then on this line, I'm going to go to negative 21.25, which is going to be right about here. Okay, so then the last thing I'm going to do, I have 4 points right now. I'm going to take this y-intercept, and I'm going to reflect it across this line. It's going to end up at about 1.5. And I'm just kind of eyeballing that, yeah? So that's just a reflection of the y-intercept. Of the y-intercept. And then I'm going to sketch my graph. And remember to make it nice and curvy. You don't want it to be pointy at all. And then the last thing we should always do is 2.5, label our points. Negative 4, 0. 0, negative 20. I don't know how that turned out to be negative. Wow, what is happening there? Hold on, I'll just erase it. I'll try to erase it. What is happening? Okay. 0, negative 20, and then negative 0.75, 21.25. We'll make that one also negative. And then this point is going to be negative 1.5, negative 20. And to get this negative 1.5, I just multiplied negative 0.75 by 2. That's it. That's my graph. So that is how you graph from factored form. So we found the y-intercepts by making x equals 0. We found the x-intercepts by making y equals 0 and using the zero product property. We took the average of the x-intercepts to find the line of symmetry, and then we plugged that into the equation to find the vertex. We plotted all of those points, and then, just for good measure, I reflected the y-intercept over the x-axis. That's it. Good luck.